What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? So, my name's Wilson. I'll be moderating today. These three are fantastic panelists and partners and agents that are going to be sharing some of their thoughts on conversion. And before we get started, I would love to find out where everybody is in business in terms of, how many years you guys have been in it, and if you guys want to shout out a type of lead gen that you guys want to hear a role play, or something that you want to improve on, that you want us to practice, or whatever it is that we can provide to add value to, that's what we want to do. So how many have been in real estate for less than 1 year? Awesome. How about 5 or less years? Okay, maybe half the room. Who's really experienced and has been in the business for more than 5 years? That's the other half. And some people don't raise their hands, but that's okay. Cool, so at least we kind of know what you guys, in terms of experience level, are doing. What types of leads, if you don't mind just shouting out, you want to see us role play or you want us to talk about? And of course, these experts are going to talk about what they're really good at, and also we'll also highlight the ones that you want to talk about. So any types of leads that you guys want to hear? Zillow, okay, so Zillow Flex, Zillow Premier. Take our pick. All right, we'll touch upon it. We got Gillian who's gonna definitely highlight that. What else? Facebook leads. What kind of Facebook leads? Is it people you know or is it ads? Ads, okay. So we'll talk about that too. What else? HomeSnap. I don't know if any of us have experience with that, but it's probably a type of online lead, so we can definitely talk about that too. The buyer who thinks the market is going to crash. Okay, great. Well, we'll definitely talk about that one too, and if we don't get to it, we'll cover it in Q&A. But I appreciate everyone's feedback. Let's get to some intros. So for those that don't know the panelists, we'll start with May. May, tell us about your business, a little bit about your journey, and your production, and what you're really good at.
Okay. My name is Mei Ling. I've been in real estate for about 17 years. I started with Century 21 and then went to Sereno Group. In 2019, I joined Side, started my own company, 8 Blocks Real Estate. Right now, I have about a team of 7, 2 full-time employees and 4 agents. So in 2020, I only had 3 agents, including me, 2 agents. And the 3 of us, our production in 2020 was 128 million.
That deserves an applause. Good job.
Thank you. So end of last year, I added another agent, and this year we have another agent. And so far, I think where they are production, it's already close to 150 million. To the middle of this year. So definitely this year is doing better than last year. As far as what I'm good at, I've been a farming agent since I started my real estate career in 2004. So I've been farming in the same neighborhood for 17 years. And I think I'm good at it. Majority of my sales are listings.
Solid.
8 Blocks. 8 Blocks is not, everybody thought, that's kind of a good conversation starter. People, especially living in my farm, always ask me, 8 Blocks is 8 actual blocks in our community. Not really, but yeah. I started with 8 because 8 is a lucky number for Chinese, and I like that number. And the blocks, I think it's a foundation of the building homes and could interpret it with streets and the blocks.
So we'll definitely pick your brain and dive deeper in terms of how you succeed with that. And we'll also role play a first call from the farm so you guys could hear if there's any little tweaks or diplomatic ways of handling questions. So I could be the client too, or one of you could be the client if you guys have some tough questions for me. But we'll go to Anthony. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, how long you've been doing it. What are you really good at?
Hello, Anthony Navarro with Harper Real Estate. That brand name came from my daughter. That's her name. It is the inspiration for the company. Currently we have 9 members, including myself, licensed agents that are working full-time. And it sounds like a lot, I think, from if you're just getting started, but a lot of them are new as well. So we're growing. We're not as big as this the agent next to us. Both those agents actually next to us, but we aspire to do that. Last year we did over 50 million. Already this year we did over 50 million in sales. Most importantly, though, in that I have 2 members that my longest tenured members of my team. They had their best years last year, and they already surpassed this year, in terms of their income and production, which I feel very honored to say that, because when they got their license, they came. We started working together. So I love seeing them succeed and grow. Incidentally, for folks that are out there, like I don't think these members would still be with me if I was at my previous brokerage, just because I didn't have the infrastructure, the knowledge to create what Side's created. There's just no way I could do it, nor would I want to do it. So it's really quite compelling what's happened in our business and everyone's success. And what I do best, I think, is ultimately, I mean, my gift, I think, is just connecting with people, and I came from a sales background prior to going into real estate. I've been licensed since 2005. Prior to that, I was working in software sales. So having that software or that sales background, I think, is super helpful. And most agents that come from a sales background tend to do pretty well. Not that that's not the only criteria, of course, but just thought I would share that. But yeah, just connecting with people and really listening, and also I usually have pretty good energy as well. Probably not as much today, since we were out dancing too much.
He was at the pool. Anthony, 50 million is no joke, so let's give a hand for Anthony. And let me rephrase the question, so maybe it's a little bit more targeted. What type of lead source are you converting the highest when you look at your closings?
Of course, since I've been in the business as long as I have, it's really referrals and previous clients. But prior to that, when I first got started, it was definitely online leads and open houses. So that for the folks that are just getting started, that was a huge revenue stream. And then, of course, it transitioned into those buyers transitioned into sellers, which then I became a listing agent.
Thank you for that. And then we'll go to Gillian. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, how long you've been doing it, and what are you closing at a high rate?
Hi, everyone. My name is Gillian with Kinetic Real Estate. I think we focus more on Sphere and online leads. We do have Zillow Flex, but a lot of our agents, our new agents, or even ourselves, we focus on Sphere heavily. Our conversions have been more so Zillow Flex right now. I think we're a part of the probation period. I think we have about 10 contracts so far. We have full-time agents of 20 agents, and that was just in a matter of months. I myself have been a real estate agent for about 4 years now. My first year I did 6 transactions. Next I doubled, and every continuous year I just tried to double. As a team, we're about 130 units. So I want to say that's and 43 also in the pipeline. We're doing about 100 million in volume. So yeah, we're focusing on growing new agents, having them focus on their sphere, and also the conversions online has been really big for us as a team.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And let's give a shout out and clap for Gillian too as well, because she's only 4 years. And she's probably not telling us exactly how much volume that is, but it's because she's humble. So We'll go to May. May, let's deep dive into farming strategy. So tell us a little bit more about maybe what you do, and then we'll role play the first call, and we'll go from there. So tell us a little bit about your strategy. How long you've been doing it? How long did it take for you to get the results that you have today?
Okay. So if you're familiar with farming, basically you start with the neighborhood. And I started with the neighborhood where I live because I am familiar with the area. I know some neighbors, so I feel comfortable with door knocking, close to my home. So that's where I started. I started with about 2,000 homes. I didn't expand too much. I'm still only farming about 3,000 homes. And at the very beginning, I started with door knocking. That's how I got my first listing, actually. But mostly, I've been consistent doing for 17 years is sending postcards. I send postcards every week for 2,000 to 3,000 homes, and that I haven't stopped. Even I've been getting so many listings and getting well-known, become a household name in my farm, but I still continue the farming. You can't stop. It takes a while to, I think a lot of people try farming and then give up because it's a lot of investment at the beginning. Postcard are not cheap. Printing cost, and I do bulk mail. So I have a printing shop. We do design in-house and send to the printing shop to print it, and then take to the post office to send it out. It's getting a little easier now. When I first started, I actually have to label each postcard myself. And I remember how long that take. But it's costly, but the return is, the result is really great. It works for me at least. So I would say, for example, last year I had 46 listings. I would say 80% are from my farm. There are 2 dominated agents. I'm one of it in my farm. I see other listings coming from my farm, is either some probably family members or, most of the people, if they are thinking to sell, they would call me. So it really worked out. As recent years, since we have so much social media and online marketing, so I started adding to not just a postcard. I have a YouTube channel. I do a lot of YouTube videos for my listings, or even lifestyle videos, promoting communities, have some community event. So those are also add-on to the farming. It just create more brand awareness.
Awesome. And let's give some detail. What are 2 or 3 mistakes you see newer farmers make, whether it's related to the first call, and you already mentioned that people give up way too soon. Like, how would you encourage people if they wanted to start a farm or are along the path of doing their farm, but they haven't seen results yet?
I think one first thing important is to pick the right farm. There's other people trying to farm my farm. I get their postcard all the time too, but I haven't really seen their listing. So I think you need to pick a farm that doesn't have a very successful or a couple very successful dominated agents, because it's hard to break into a farm. I was lucky to get into my farm because it was a new community. Not a lot of home has been sold. There's a couple, agents are farming there, but since it's still new, I think it's easier to get in. And I kicked that farmer out. She retired. But picking a farm very important. Pick a farm that you see just kind of agents all over the place, not really one very good dominant agent, so that might be easier to break into a farm. You don't have to start with a very big farm because it's very costly, but like consistency, it's very important, the persistent. You can't just give up after for 3 months, 4 or 6 months that you don't get any calls. Because it's really, postcard is hard, or for any marketing, it's hard to know, oh, that person just, I farm there, I send a postcard or whatever marketing material they're going to call me. It's really just a plant seeds. That's why we call farming. You send a postcard, they might just throw it to their trash, they see it, throw it to the trash, but if you are in their face every week, at the time when they sell, they are going to have to think who I'm going to call, and then if your picture, your name is in their head, then they will call you. I think that's one thing, you can't give up that quickly. To get the initial, I think that the call, door knocking is important. You send a postcard, but on top of that, go door knock, because you have to kind of let people see you in face. Not a lot of people want to door knock because it's hard. That's why when they see someone actually come door knock on you get a lot of rejections, but if you just find one listing, you just need one first listing. And also, a lot of people say, I don't know what material I'm going to send. Every week a postcard, that's a lot. You can use, if your office or company has another listing, even if it's not yours, you can use that to send. I think, or even market update. I found out a lot of people really don't know the postcard, those listings you put out as a market update, they are not yours. A lot of homeowners just think, oh, you send a postcard, that's from me, whatever put on that must be hers, or even if you just give a market update. So don't feel like, oh, I haven't sold many, I haven't really had any listings, what do I put out?
And one of the key things I heard you say as well was you started in a farm that didn't have a dominant agent, which is pretty important, and it was a brand new farm, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people would have limiting beliefs that, oh my gosh, these people just moved in, they're probably not gonna sell. But a lot of this has to do with how you think in your mind. Like, just because people just move in, it doesn't mean a year, 2 years, 3 years later, they're not gonna move. So, and let's do a quick role play and then we'll jump to Anthony. Let's say I am a person that's been getting your postcards. And I'm a farmer too, so I kind of know what the conversation goes like. So, ring, ring.
Hi, my name is Mei Ling.
Hey, May, yeah, I got a couple of your postcards over the past year, and we're thinking about putting our house on the market, and we would like to interview you and some other agents.
Great, wonderful. Where do you live?
Yeah, we live on 123 Palm. It's part of the Rivermark community.
Wonderful, I know that street. Which model?
Yeah, it's, I don't know the model, so Model 1.
Okay, wonderful. Would you like to set up an appointment?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to ask you some questions first, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so, it's our first home, and we want to move to a bigger unit in the community. I was just curious, we don't know what's the best way to do that. Do you have any feedback for us?
I think the best way is for me to come in and meet with you, and we can talk about different plans based on your situation, and we can figure it out.
Okay, so that sounds good. And I guess, when I bought, it was our first home, and I guess, how do commissions work?
Well, their commission there's different ways, and I know a lot of people probably will tell you what they charge, or you're very curious what we charge, but I like to meet you first and give you a detail what my services are, and what's the current market condition, what's your home value, and then we'll talk about my fees.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll confirm and then book the appointment. But if you guys heard, give a round of applause for May. After everything that she said, she closed for the appointment, right? That was the key takeaway I had.
The key is when someone calls you, don't give out too much information. Really what you want is to have that appointment. So no matter what they ask, I always come back, let's set up the appointment. And if they say, oh, we're too busy, and why don't you just tell us over the phone? And I say, well, if you're ready to sell, and call me, and then we set up an appointment.
And that's good stuff, and we can continue role-playing different questions. So thank you, May. Anthony, so we heard two things that you're really good at. When you started, a lot of online leads, and then also now it's converting referrals that you're getting. Which one do you think you would like to talk about and mastermind around?
So I am a Zillow Premier agent also, and a lot of those, we do a good amount of business there as well as a team. So since we're on this topic, we probably should cover that. I know others will cover this too, but I just think that might be the most appropriate, I guess. We could talk about
Let's do
the
that.
online stuff.
So tell us about the lead flow. It hits your email, you get a call, and then what happens next?
Yes. So well, I don't know. I don't want to step on your toes.
No.
Because there's we're both doing these Zillow leads, and there's a lot that goes on with that. But the plan that we implemented for our team is they call it ALM, which is appointment, location, and motivation, and it works like a charm. So first, when the call comes in, you try to get the appointment first and foremost. Above everything else, they'll ask you, "Oh, can you tell me more about the house?" Yes, let's meet there at 2 o'clock today, and I'll tell you everything you need to know about the house. And then you would ask another question, what other locations are you considering? And that leads into different conversations. And then you would ask, oh, well, if you don't mind me asking, what's the reason for wanting to own a home? And I always use the word own. Wilson will like that because that's the name of his company. And the reason why I use the word own is, no one likes to buy things, but people like to invest and own things. So that's for our new agents out there. Don't use buy. Never say that word, actually. I highly recommend not to. And it sets up the process with the person that you're going to meet in a really positive way, because when they need to, in this highly competitive market, up their price, they're thinking, oh, we're going to own something though, right? We're not buying anything. We're going to invest in something. So using that phraseology, I think is crucial to conversion and helping your client get what they want, which is they want to own a home and get into a home. I'll stop there.
Let's do a role play.
If
All right,
we
so
must.
you want to do a live connection, or is it one that just came through? Live connection. Okay.
And Zillow is live connection often, so let's do it.
So, ring ring.
Hi, this is Anthony Navarro.
Hey, I'm going to connect you to an agent now.
That's exactly how it goes.
Hi, yes, this is Brian.
Hi, Brian. This is Anthony Navarro with Harper Real Estate. How you doing today?
Yeah, hey, good. I had some questions about 123 Palm.
Sure.
Yeah, so, it's listed kind of low. Are you the listing agent?
So, let me tell you, actually, I'm not the listing agent, but I know the listing agent very well, and he's asked me to show you the property.
Okay, great. Yeah, my partner and I are looking for our first home, and this caught our attention because it was priced a little lower.
Okay, no, that's great. Let's meet there. Does 2 o'clock today sound great for you?
Yeah, I think that works. I just have to check with my partner.
Okay, that's fine. I'd love to meet your partner as well. Let's go ahead and tentatively confirm, and we'll text each other to make sure we're going to meet today at 2 o'clock. Let me ask you, what other locations are you considering?
Yeah, so we really like the Excelsior, and we're new to the city. We've been here for 2 years. We just don't know the neighborhoods well enough. We've lived in 2 really, and yeah, I guess that's something that we'd like to hear more from.
Okay,
from you.
that's great. We'll be able to help you. You should know I was born and raised in San Francisco, so I can definitely assist you with learning about the different neighborhoods, and we can talk when we meet. I look forward to seeing you at 2 p.m.
Awesome, yeah. And yeah, I'm not sure if there's like other properties, but if you could line them up, that'd be great too.
Yes, I will see what else we can show you, and we'll meet at 2 o'clock and start that process. In addition, let me ask you, what is the reason for wanting to own a home?
Yeah, so my partner are getting married, and we just want to buy something before, going through that whole process of the wedding, ideally.
Okay, that's great. And when are you getting married? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, it's going to be early next year. So our lease actually ends a little earlier, so I'm not sure how that's going to work, and we kind of don't want to sign another year lease.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, I look forward to seeing you soon, and I will text you and confirm shortly.
Awesome, thank you so much. Round of applause for Anthony. Pretty short and sweet, straight to the appointment. Any feedback from you, Anthony?
Ask me a question.
Yeah, usually some people are always looking for the listing agent for those that have handled some of these calls before. And there's always that pre-recorded message in the beginning of introing the agent. Obviously, there's percentages to this too in terms of how many people will show and so forth. So that was good. But we'll come back to it.
And I got that first line from one of my team members, so I can't take credit for it. Lucia Carner, she's a master at converting. So
That's awesome.
I stole it.
It's good. We can all use it now. So let's go to Gillian. Gillian, I know you wanted to talk about Zillow Flex, but also in the notes, you convert on your Instagram. So what would you like to talk about and share with the audience?
So let's talk about Instagram first. Instagram for me is huge. I try to post as much as I can. I get leads pretty much every day, whether it's inquiries or just people looking to buy in the near future, or now we're looking for new agents. So, you just kind of drop hints. I think it's important to have your presence on social media now, whether if you're not closing deals or you're not, like we have new agents that are posting our listings and their family and friends are like, wow, you have this new listing, or people don't know, so they just want to see you working, they want to see you posting. Even our clients, like, even if you're on vacation, they want to see you post, they want to feel like you're working for them. So I try to post as much as I can. I like content. I like to just, mix it up a little bit. I think that's important too. I don't like posting just real estate. You have to post family, post selfies, post market updates. That's how I've been able to keep top of mind to all of my family and friends, clients. And if I probably met you, I'm always asking, like, what's your Instagram? Now I've turned into more of a database maniac. Before, I used to have a whole bunch of emails and leads that I didn't put into any database. Now this year, I'm learning to do that a lot more. So any person I come into contact with, whether it's not buying or selling now, a friend, family, or just a person I met, at the grocery store, it's like, hey, what's your number? Or hey, what's your email? So start taking those information down, as well as their social media. What I have my VA do, and I learned this from another agent, and all these things that I do, I learned from other agents, and just stick to what works well with you. But all of our clients, we try to get their social media page now, because if it's like Facebook, if I have a buyer's consult with you or a seller's consult with you or just an inquiry, I'll look for you on Facebook, or I'll have my VA do that. So social media is definitely big, because if they're not looking to buy or sell now, you just want to continue to stay top of mind.
Absolutely. And let's get tactical here. Any specific pieces that you share? And for those that are not as consistent in social, because you said consistency is really key, anything that you could say to help these people?
Consistency, at least post 3 times a week, I would say. I mean, I myself sometimes slag on it, or I look back, I'm like, shoot, I haven't posted like in a week. You know, then I try to just continue to post, or I have content, I know what I'm gonna post already for the week, or, you know, you make pictures look good, videos are really good. I post more on my stories than I do on my actual like grid, but I'd like to get more into Facebook too. I haven't tackled into that, and you know, I'm just trying to different avenues, even LinkedIn. I have my virtual assistant link all of my posts from like Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn, as well as reviews. I would say what I've learned in the past 4 years of real estate, you know, just do what all the top producers are doing. There's nothing different, you know. So reviews has been great for us as well. Post your reviews. You know, there's always something to post, always.
Absolutely. Now, I wish we can role play like a IGDM, but how does it usually, walk us through that process. How does it usually come in? How do you handle it? And then do you jump on a phone call? Do you go for an appointment? Tell us a little bit more.
From Instagram?
Yep.
So, you know, some people will or like, hey, I don't know, I'll post something, or, oh, I live on that street. Then you start conversing with them. Then you say, hey, you know, we focus in this area. We have a lot of listings in this area. I'm pretty direct. I'll ask, like, are you thinking about looking to buy or sell in the near future? And, you know, because if you don't ask for the business, you'll never get it. You know, there's no point of conversing with them like, oh, like, what's the color of your house? You know, it doesn't matter, because just ask for the business. You know, of course, be personable, and, you know, you're a real estate agent, you ask for business. So I think a lot of what I struggled with in the beginning was a lot of limiting beliefs where, like, oh man, they just think I'm a salesperson. They think I want the business. Well, yeah, you want the business, but, you know, you're providing value. I learned at one of the brokerages we were at before, but Wilson, I think you actually taught me this. You said, as long as you're providing value, then you won't have that limiting belief that you're just there to take someone's business. Because if it's not you, it's going to be someone else. So ask for the business.
That's great advice. So asking, because a lot of times we might beat around the bush and not ask the question that's the most important if they need any help from us. So it's good stuff. Anything to add to some of these conversations, and then maybe we'll jump into a Q&A and some role play?
Sure. I just wanted to ask the audience if they'd be interested to know what to do when you actually go show the house. Is that something that people want to know about?
I do, actually. If you can give some tips, I think that'd be
No one
value
wants
add
to
right
know
there.
about it. Okay. I just think it's important. Like, okay, great. Once you go set the appointment, hey, what do you do when you're there? It's funny. Who was at the session this morning? Did you guys hear that? I like that actually a lot. And at first I'm like, it took me a second to process it, like what they said. It was something like, oh, I'm here to, you know, my goal is to get you the best house at the best price with the best terms. And you know, it's just kind of like a tagline for everything. Right, and you supplant that in their head. So they're gonna like, yeah, that agent, he wants to help me get the best house with the best price. So I actually really like that. I don't do that yet, but I think I'm gonna implement that. I love it. But what I do want to do is show my value to the buyers when we finally go meet them. And you know, how I started, it's really important. When I open the door, the process starts there. I don't open the door and go in. I open the door and say, you know, welcome, make yourself at home. I don't want them to be looking at my rear while for their first impression of this house they might want to invest in is my backside, right? You know, even if you have a nice backside, it's probably not the best way to do it. So that's that's like the first process. And once we're in the house, even if we're outside the house, I always tell them, I say, so there's 5 main systems of a house. Wilson, do you know those 5 main systems of a house?
Anthony, I need to know.
So the 5 main systems of a house and are there's the foundation, the plumbing, the electrical, the windows, and the roof, of course. Did I say that already? No, right? Why I say that is really simple. It's like no one's ever told them that before, that there's the 5 main systems of a house. So now all of a sudden you told them something they never heard before, and they feel like, oh wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And to prepare yourself for the showing, it's probably in your best interest if there's time. Sometimes there's not time, but that's a bad excuse most of the time. But to prepare yourself, you should probably look at the disclosures so you understand what's going on with the 5 main systems of the house. Now, if you didn't have a chance to, for whatever reason, you could say, there's inspections with this property. There's a home inspection and a termite inspection, and we may not be able to see what's going on with the 5 main systems of the house right now, but we will be able to go through that together so you can understand, what is going on with this house. And the reason why these 5 main systems are super important, Mr. Buyer or Mrs. Buyer, is because if these systems are, they have damage or they're not functioning, they could be very expensive to replace. So, notice the line of information that you're giving them. You're not trying to sell them this house. You're trying to provide value to them, and all of a sudden you just created trust because you're giving him this information like, hey, we need to understand what's going on with this house before we even think about making an offer, and what the investment would be to invest in this house. And if you already looked at the reports, you can say, just so you know, there is a termite report on this property, and there's some damage. I'm going to show you what some of that damage looks like, because there's like a door jamb over here. It has a little dry rot, or they call it fungus damage or dry rot. I'm going to show you what it looks like so you understand what this is and what a contractor will do to replace that or fix that. And it's just sometimes when you show it to them and then when they see it on the report later, they're not like, oh my gosh, there's termites. It's more like, oh yeah, it's a little fungus damage. They cut it off the end and put another piece of wood there, and it's fine. And it's probably only $50 or no, a couple $100 per the report. And so I think setting this whole process up in the beginning is crucial. But I know we're running out of time, so I will stop there.
Oh, it's good stuff. So, did you guys find that valuable at least? Anything else from May, Gillian, before we jump maybe into a quick fire role play or Q&A? I think our panelists are ready.
Well, I actually have a question for you because you do flex. We're a flex team. How are you converting from being on the appointment to showing homes?
Being on the appointment to showing homes.
You set the appointment, you go out on the appointment, and you set the appointment, you go out on appointment. How are you taking them back out again to see more homes? So I have 2 questions, so we'll start with that one.
So for showing new homes, well, it's ALMB that we focus on, and we do scripts. So I think for new agents, especially, or even myself as a seasoned agent, because we're going through a lot of obstacles, like when buyers are asking questions like, hey, are you the listing agent? Or hey, is this home gonna price, yada, yada. So I focus on setting the appointment. I just answer the phone, I have it pulled up already, and I'm already assuming that, hey, we're confirmed for 2 p.m. on 123 Main Street. But in the meantime, I see there's other properties in the area, which also Zillow training will tell you that offer other homes in the area to show already. Because if they're looking at multiple properties with you, and then you're letting them know that, hey, I'm going to be your go-to agent. I can help you from the start to finish with this entire process. They kind of already will just look at properties with you. And every single time I'm like leaving the client, I'll say, hey, when's your next availability to see other properties?
Okay, so that, because my question is more like once you've met them, so setting up the appointment then versus waiting until later. Okay. And then you said ALMB.
Bonus properties.
Got you.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So A, appointment, L, location, M, motivation, and then B is just the bonus properties. I know some agents are trained to let the buyer know that, hey, you're going to get a survey. I don't do that. I think, because I like to be on the phone just 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Again,
me too.
Yeah, the more information you give, the less likely they'll probably want to come to the appointment.
Okay, and then when you're taking the phone call, when they're asking the questions, or like it's for example, vacant land, how are you doing that?
I don't.
Okay.
Us personally, we don't have a lot of vacant lands.
We
But-
didn't think we did either, but they're showing up all of a sudden, so.
Yeah, we get a lot of BMRs, but our ZillowFlex manager, he's able to cut that out. So maybe there's a function where vacant lands aren't.
I'm gonna ask now, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you some feedback on
Mobile
that.
homes
So,
too.
Oh, that would be amazing, thank you.
yeah, first is I see it as functionary versus fiduciary. So when you do show a property, obviously, how many of us have encountered a Redfin associate agent that shows a property on behalf of a Redfin agent that actually negotiates the deal? The associate has lesser standards in terms of they're just there to really open a door. So I think if you think relatively what other encounters this agent or this buyer has had, you just want to stand out for the right reasons. And if you think, how can I be a fiduciary and think in their best interest, what would they want to know? The reports that we talked about, the 5 functions of the property. Maybe it has something to do with the emotional side of it, a little bit more about their family. It's an opportunity to build some rapport. So I think as long as you can stand out from your competition, which most people probably are just really glamorized door openers, I think you'll do well. And then regarding the land, I think there's really nothing to show. And I think a lot of land has some sort of documentation or some don't already. I would always follow up with a phone appointment or a Zoom appointment and say, hey, look, I know you requested specifically for land. Would love to understand your experience of purchasing something like this and what you've seen so far. And if you have any questions regarding it, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I'm going to get the documentation for this property so we can review it together. Regardless if you pursue it or not, I think it's going to be very helpful for us to jump on a call so that you know everything you need to know about buying this piece of land specifically, and then also future ones that you might be interested in looking at. And then hopefully that is sticky enough for them to show up for the Zoom call. Cool, good question. All right, let's do quick fire. What kind of questions you guys got? We got the panelists here. We got, it looks like 1 minute and 37 seconds, but I'm sure there's some questions here that we can answer. Yes?
Okay, how do you handle someone who is a serious buyer who wants to look at your properties?
Serious buyer and?
But that is not a serious buyer who wants to keep going to look at your properties, but how do you manage time?
That's a really good question. I think everyone's standards are going to be different in handling those. Some people are going to be a hard no and be direct in terms of the standards that they have in terms of showings. And I think others, obviously, if you have a smaller pipeline without leads, of course you're going to go show it. You want to get FaceTime with the person. I think it comes from a point of discovery and helping to set expectations without being too direct to earn the business. And then maybe you guys have something to add to that.
There are no wasted efforts. And the reason why is you help someone, they may refer you. I've heard of many stories of that happening. Even if it's like the smallest transaction and you give them great service, they know someone that wants to buy a much larger house or sell a much larger house, and you treat them like they were the multi-million-dollar buyer, it will come back to you. So I think there's no wasted efforts. Personally, I did a Zillow one recently last year, and the lady just said, I showed up there and she's like, I have to be really honest with you. the only reason why I wanted to see this house is because this is the house I grew up in. I just wanted to see it again. And I was touched. I was like, obviously if I'm just thinking about money and business, I'm like, oh gosh, that was a waste of time. But in the end, I was like, oh no, don't worry, take your time. Walk through, and I just connected with her, and the ultimate thing is you really can't focus on the money if you want to build a strong, lasting business. This is reality.
I think related to that, any interaction with a salesperson, if they were too pushy, you're probably not going to work with that person. So just like walking in Nordstrom, I use that analogy all the time. And you're looking at shoes, you want to buy that. That's probably the wrong question to ask, but you probably could facilitate for them to discover that that's something they want to buy. And I want to make sure I get to the question earlier regarding, I'm waiting for the market to crash. I really think having an anticipation and a better understanding of where they're coming from is helpful, and usually stories will be helpful. So for example, I appreciate you asking that, and no one has a crystal ball to predict that, and clearly you care about making a worthy investment and you're not going to lose money, because I care about that too. At the same time, we've helped numerous families in the last couple of years, and they had the same exact thought you did. But if I ask any of them if they have any regrets, you've seen how the market's been. So I don't know exactly how long you want to wait, but I can share with you some of the successes we've had where they were concerned, but also they knew they made the right move by making the commitment to purchase a home. And I'm excited to share more about that with you, and then just move it along. It's usually a minor objection. If you internalize that as a major objection, and they see that you were truly affected and you don't really have a good answer, then they'll think that you believe what they said too. So I think it's important that you combat that. And I don't remember the other questions, but any other questions? Yes. And then we'll go over here.
So my question is for Mei-Ling. So you said you farm. I hate farming. So my questions for you are, you said you mail out postcards weekly. Is every postcard you have something real estate related, or are you putting stuff related to the community as well?
It's all real estate.
It's all real estate related? Okay. And then you said your first listing came from in your farm. How long were you farming before you got that first listing?
I think of 4 months.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Mine was 6, so usually maybe like half a year to get your first result. And then I think to May's point earlier, if there's a dominant agent, you're likely going up against that person too. So that's why it's so important.
And how often were you going out into your farm during the 4 and 6 months?
I was mailing out, not weekly at that time, maybe every other week, like twice a month. And then I got that listing from door knocking.
How
But
often were you door knocking?
I got lucky. I think that probably the second time second round door knock that neighborhood. Yeah, or second day. But they didn't. I actually didn't really talk to them when I door knock, because they open little door and take my card and just shut the door in. And I didn't even get a chance to talk to them. But then they called me later. They said, oh, we're thinking to move to a better school district and buy a bigger house. So I actually helped them buy a house first and sold their house in my farm.
Good feedback. We had a question on this side.
Hi. So what do you do with leads where somehow or another, you lose it in the middle? I am famous, and I'll just admit it in front of the entire room. I get lots of referrals. I have the hardest time closing them. I don't know what it is, and they just kind of evaporate. I definitely learned in this session to set an appointment right away. That's been a little bit more challenging with the pandemic. But if you have a lead go cold, how do you reverse the trend, and what do? How do you get them back talking to you?
That's happened to me plenty of times. I think what my thought process was behind it was shoot, I didn't call them fast enough. So it was more so of a mental block for me to give that person a call. But now I just don't even think about it. I don't think about our last conversation. I'll just call you, and I'll call or text or email and say, hey, I just wanted to pick up from our last conversation, even if it was me who was the one who didn't follow up. And they kind of just forget too, but if they are still looking to buy or sell, they'll let you know where they are. in the process.
I'll give you 2 tips on this. I think you usually want to say something high probability, such as, hey, I get you're busy. Hey, I get life happens. Hey, I get this was 2 months ago, something obvious. And I realized I still wanted to commit to what I said I would do, which is keep in touch with you until you are ready. Whether you're going to do something this year or you made the determination that you want to do something later or you decided not to, either way, would love your feedback because I want to make sure that I'm still here as a resource for you. That's the first thought. And I kind of forgot the second thought, so if anyone has anything else.
Well, I think that's CRM would help too, if you guys use CRMs.
Hopefully that helped. We'll need to follow up. I don't see the positive nod. Any other questions? I know our time is up, but we're here to help, so. Anyone? I think we're good. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you, everyone.